Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to call it Conjuring 3. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons, so let's get to it. Pros. The Conjuring's been around for quite a while, since 2013. Remember 2013? It was the year of GTA 5, Frozen, the launch of the PS4, the PR disaster that was the Xbox One. Good times. Anywho, the first Conjuring movie came out 2013, July 2013. It was directed by James Wan, the man behind Saw, Insidious, Furious 7, and eventually Aquaman. And that first Conjuring movie, not only what did it do great in terms of reviews, it did really good in terms of box office. It made over $300 million, which is impressive, not just for an R-rated horror movie, but an original R-rated horror movie. And because of The Conjuring's success, it led to a whole franchise of, including this one, 7 more movies, so 8 in total. And not one of these movies has been a failure. I mean, it's hard for these movies to fail because they're so cheap. But still, uh, you know, after The Conjuring, there was Annabelle, there was Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation, The Nun, Curse of La Llorona. I'm not sure if that's an official Conjuring movie. That's kind of iffy. I'm just gonna say it is. Yeah, Curse of La Llorona and Annabelle Comes Home, right? All before this. So this series has a strong track record financially, and it has quite a strong fan base. So I think some of those fans will definitely show up to see Conjuring 3. It also helps that this is a main Conjuring movie. It's not a spin-off like the Annabelle movies or The Nun or La Llorona. This is more important in the grand scheme of things. So I would consider that a pro. Second pro. Well, when it comes to horror and the pandemic, before this, it was very weak. It was non existent. But now the horror genre is kind of ramping up again. I mean, sure, we had Spiral early last month, didn't do all that great, but last weekend we had A Quiet Place Part 2, which destroyed all the pandemic records, at least domestically. And because, Conjuring 3 is also a horror movie, that means the horror genre is doing well right now. It's the biggest genre. It also helps that Conjuring 3 actually looks like a horror movie worth seeing in comparison to some of the other horror movies that have come out in the pandemic. So, yeah, that's another pro. The genre is doing well, and also helps that this movie looks important in comparison to other horror movies. So, yeah, that's another pro right there. Third pro, reviews are quite good. I mean, they're not great, but they are better than most horror movies out there. And when it comes to the franchise, it's very hit or miss when it comes to these movies. But this movie is considered more of a hit than a miss. So I think that will convince some people to give it a chance. So yeah, I would consider that a pro. Another pro, with the exception of A Quiet Place Part 2, this movie has no direct competition till July when The Forever Purge comes out. So it has a whole month to itself. I mean, sure, it has to deal with, In the Heights and uh, Him and His Wife's Bodyguard and F9. But, none of those movies are horror movies. So Conjuring 3 and Quiet Place Part 2, they have the month to themselves. So yeah, I would consider that a pro. All right, cons. Although this series has been very successful, gotta keep in mind this is the movie, the eighth movie in the series. Now, there have been plenty of series that have gone on for multiple, like almost 10 installments. MCU, Fast and Furious, Mission Possible, Star Wars. I can go on. And when it comes to horror, it's the same thing. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Saw. Again, I can go on. But the thing is, with all those movies, all those series, they all imploded at some point. They all fell apart at a certain point when they made one too many movies. And The Conjuring, it's in danger of repeating that because let me look at the franchise, The Conjuring. That way I can show you how it's doing. Okay, so here's The Conjuring. Here's its history. At least let's go over it's just its domestic numbers. Conjuring 137, Annabelle 84, Conjuring 2 102, Annabelle Creation 102, Nun 117. So we're on a good track, a nice number, a very nice number. Then things take a dive in 2019 with Curse of La Riona making 54 million and Annabelle Comes Home making 74 million. That's not good. That's a bad sign. So this series is kind of already on a bit of a downslide. Like it's which is definitely due to fatigue because with really any series, when you reach a certain number, fatigue is going to set in and it's going to set in hard. And there's a good chance Conjuring 3 it may have been that movie that just caused people to be like, "You know what? I don't care anymore." Like I'm done. So, yeah, that's definitely a con is that this series has been going on a little too long and this may be the movie that just causes people to tune out. I mean, well, it doesn't help that The Nun and Annabelle were and Curse of La Riona were all terrible movies that definitely turned people off from the series. So there's that too. So yeah. First con, franchise fatigue. Second con, HBO Max. Yes, because this is a Warner Brothers movie, it's an HBO Max movie too. It's part of the experiment, which means it's going to cut into this movie's potential box office, especially now because the theatrical landscape is much better now than it was a few months ago. It's a lot healthier. So, and that HBO Max thing is going to, catch up to them. It's going to catch up to these movies and prevent them from making as much as they should. But yeah, I mean, the last HBO Max movie we had was Those Who Wish Me Dead, which was a total flop. Granted, no one cared about that movie. No one was excited about it. Barely anyone knew it existed. But, when it comes to this whole experiment, we've only had like one true blockbuster success, and that was Godzilla versus Kong. Everything else has either been mediocre or bad when it comes to box office. And think I don't think The Conjuring is going to be a blockbuster, at least not this one. So yeah, it's definitely going to fall into that mediocre bad territory. So yeah, that's another con. Like the HBO Max thing just is going to eat into this movie's box office. Anything else I can say when it comes to cons? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So opening weekend, this is tough because again, the HBO Max release complicates things. Uh, Considering Cruella last weekend with the whole Disney Plus Premier Access thing managed to open above 20 million, I think Conjuring can do the same. I think Conjuring 3 can open above 20. I think it's possible. When it comes to HBO Max movies, the only two that have been able to do it are Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat. Both of those open above 20 million. This movie could do the same. I can see it doing the same. So I'm going to say 20 to 25 million. I'm going to be optimistic. 20 to 25 million opening weekend. Overall, I'll probably reach 60 to 70 million because Conjuring is a lot of these Conjuring movies tend to be a bit front loaded. Well, it kind of depends on if they are good or not. And also, HBO Max movies, they are horribly front loaded, like to a absurd degree. So that's definitely not going to help this movie. So Yeah. Yeah, 20 to 25 million opening weekend, 60 to 70 million total, and then that'll be it for The Conjuring 3. So yeah, that's it for that. All right, next up, we got Spirit Untamed, and then that's it for this weekend. The next weekend, talk about two more movies: In the Heights, Peter Rabbit 2. After that, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, and at the end of the month, F9. So yeah. Anywho, that is it. That is all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage with all previous prediction videos I made this year, from Godzilla vs. Kong to Raid and Last Dragon to Tom and Jerry to Demon Slayer to Mortal Kombat to Quiet Place 2, etc. So if you want to watch any of those and any of the past recaps I've done, but from 2019 to 2020, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I just did one that was mainly about the Ninja Turtles reboot coming out in 2 years. So if you want to watch that and any other canceled video I made, that way you're up to date on what's going on with all these movies that you were looking forward to. You can go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just did the May recap. The June recap will come out first week of July. And other than that, that is it. That is all. Make sure. Oh, sorry. That's it. I'm out. Bye.